So, we're sinking our teeth into one of the most captivating ideas out there: ancient aliens. Were extraterrestrials zipping around Earth thousands of years ago, teaching humans how to stack stones into pyramids, or maybe even messing with our genes? Or is this just a thrilling tale we've spun to make sense of history's mysteries? The ancient aliens theory is a wild ride, blending ancient myths, modern doubts, and a hefty dose of sci-fi imagination. It's hooked people across generations, from dog-eared paperbacks to viral posts on X. So, let's start at the very beginning, trace how this idea grew, explore its biggest claims, and figure out what it says about us as a species. The ancient aliens concept didn't just drop out of the sky. It's built on stories humans have told for millennia about where we came from. Take the Sumerians, who were scratching out cuneiform in Mesopotamia around 3000 BC. Their texts talk about the Anunnaki, these powerful beings who came from the heavens to teach humans the basics: farming, writing, even law. To the Sumerians, heavens meant the sky or the stars, the realm of gods. It's not a huge stretch to read those stories today and think, what if those gods were aliens and spaceships? That's the seed of the idea, and you find similar threads in cultures worldwide. Egyptian myths describe sky gods like Ra sailing across the heavens. The Maya had their starborn deities. Even some Native American tribes spoke of star people visiting long ago. These ancient tales are the raw clay that modern theorists mold into evidence of extraterrestrial contact. Now, let's jump forward a bit. By the 19th century, people were starting to weave these old stories into new ideas. Helena Blavatsky, a Russian mystic who founded Theosophy in 1875, was one of the first to suggest advanced beings from other planets might have guided early humans. Her ideas were out there, more spiritual than scientific, but they got people thinking. Then came the 20th century, and the ancient aliens theory caught fire. In 1968, a Swiss hotelier named Erich von Däniken published Chariots of the Gods, and it was a game changer. Von Däniken argued that ancient wonders, like the pyramids of Giza, Stonehenge, or the Nazca Lines in Peru, were too complex for humans to have built without help. His big claim? Aliens visited Earth, shared their tech, and maybe even kickstarted our evolution. The book sold over 70 million copies, got translated into 32 languages, and made von Däniken a household name. He wasn't an archaeologist or a scientist, but he had a knack for spinning a story that felt like it could rewrite history. The timing couldn't have been better. The 1960s were a turbulent decade. People were skeptical of governments, science, and traditional history. The Apollo missions had us staring at the moon, and UFO sightings were popping up everywhere. Von Däniken's ideas were like a spark in a dry forest. He pointed to massive structures, like the 50-ton stones at Stonehenge built around 2500 BCE, or the Moai statues on Easter Island, carved around 1200 CE, and said humans couldn't have done this alone. His argument leaned hard on the notion that ancient people were too primitive for such feats. It's a gripping narrative, especially if you're already wondering what secrets history might be hiding. But let's zoom in on some of these claims, because this is where the debate gets lively. The pyramids of Giza, finished around 2630 BCE, are the poster child for the ancient aliens argument. How do you move 2.3 million stone blocks, some weighing 50 tons, without cranes or trucks? Von Däniken said aliens must have lent a hand, maybe with anti-gravity tech or advanced tools. But archaeologists tell a different story. The Egyptians built the pyramids over decades, using thousands of workers, many of whom were paid laborers, not slaves, as older myths suggested. They used ramps, levers, and sledges, with evidence of worker camps, tools, and quarries to back it up. Recent finds show they even used canals to float stones closer to the site. It's not as flashy as alien gadgets, but it's a testament to human grit and cleverness. Then there's the Nazca Lines in Peru, etched into the desert between 500 BCE and 500 CE. These giant geoglyphs, images of monkeys, birds, and geometric shapes, are only fully visible from the air, which makes them a favorite for Ancient Aliens fans. Von Däniken called them landing strips for UFOs. But the Nazca people didn't need to fly to create them. They used ropes, stakes, and basic surveying techniques, and the desert's arid climate kept the lines pristine. The idea that they're only visible from above isn't quite true either. Nearby hills give a clear view, and the lines are likely used in rituals or to mark astronomical events. Still, when you see a 300-foot spider scratched into the ground, it's hard not to wonder. Another intriguing piece is the so-called Baghdad Battery, a set of clay jars from Mesopotamia, dated roughly 250 BCE to 250 CE. Each has a copper tube and an iron rod, which some say could have been an early battery for electroplating or powering small devices. Ancient Aliens enthusiasts see this as proof of extraterrestrial tech. But most archaeologists think these were just storage jars or ritual objects. Experiments show they could produce a tiny voltage, about 0.5 volts, but that's nowhere near enough to power anything significant. It's a cool idea, but jumping from a clay pot to an alien power source is a big leap. Ancient texts are another cornerstone of the theory. The Indian epics, like the Mahabharata and Ramayana, written around 400 BCE to 200 CE, describe Vimanas, flying machines piloted by gods, sometimes wielding weapons that sound like lasers or nukes. These passages are vivid, and it's easy to read them as evidence of alien ships. But these are mythological stories, packed with metaphor and exaggeration, much like Greek tales of Zeus hurling thunderbolts or Norse gods riding through the sky. A flying chariot could just be a poetic way to describe a divine figure or a king's fancy vehicle. Without physical evidence, it's tough to take these as literal spaceships. The Ancient Aliens idea really hit its stride in the 1970s and 80s, thanks to TV shows like In Search Of, hosted by Leonard Nimoy. With eerie music and grainy shots of pyramids and UFOs, these specials brought the theory to living rooms everywhere. By the 2000s, the History Channel's Ancient Alien series turned it into a cultural phenomenon. Now in its 20th season, the show's formula is simple. Take any odd artifact or text, add a dramatic "what if aliens," and keep going. Crop circles, megaliths, even the Bible's Ezekiel and his wheel in the sky vision all get the alien spin. It's addictive TV, but it often skips over simpler explanations for the sake of drama. Let's talk about those simpler explanations, because this is where the theory starts to fray. Take Stonehenge. Moving those 25-ton stones was no small feat, but archaeologists know the builders used sledges, rollers, and prehistoric roads to transport them. The Moai on Easter Island? The Rapa Nui people carved and moved them using ropes and manpower, as shown in modern experiments. Even the Vimanas in Indian texts fit into a tradition of mythic storytelling, not unlike Celtic tales of gods and flying boats. The more we learn about ancient cultures, the more we see their brilliance. No extraterrestrials required. Puma Punku in Bolivia is another big one. This site, built around 500 CE by the Tiwanaku culture, has stone blocks cut with such precision that some claim only lasers or alien tech could have done it. But the stones, mostly andesite, were worked with harder tools like dolerite, and the site shows signs of a sophisticated but human stoneworking tradition. The precision is stunning, but it's not beyond what skilled artisans could achieve with time and practice. The alien angle often ignores the cultural context, like how Puma Punku was a ceremonial center, not a spaceship hub. Another example is the Antikythera mechanism, a 2,000-year-old Greek device found in a shipwreck. It's a complex set of gears used to track astronomical positions, often called the world's first computer. Ancient Aliens fans say it's too advanced for its time, hinting at extraterrestrial origins. but historians see it as a marvel of human engineering, built on centuries of Greek mathematical knowledge. It's a reminder that ancient people were often way smarter than we assume. The legacy of the ancient aliens theory is massive. It shaped pop culture in a big way. Movies like Stargate and Prometheus play with the idea of aliens seeding human civilization. Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull literally ends with aliens. The theories also changed how we think about history, encouraging us to question what's possible. That's not a bad thing. Curiosity drives progress. But there's a downside. By suggesting ancient people needed alien help, the theory can downplay their achievements. The Egyptians, Mayans, and others were masters of their environment, solving problems with tools we're still piecing together. There's also a tougher critique. Some scholars argue the ancient aliens narrative can echo colonialist ideas, implying non-Western cultures, like those in Africa, South America, or India, couldn't have built their wonders without outside help. That's not the intent of most fans who just love a good mystery, but it's worth noting. The theory thrives because humans are drawn to the unknown. A giant stone or a strange carving feels like a puzzle, and aliens are a more exciting answer than humans worked really hard. Let's dive deeper into some other examples that fuel this theory. Take Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, a site dating back to 9,600 BCE. It's one of the oldest monumental structures we know of, with massive T-shaped pillars carved with animals and human figures. Some ancient aliens proponents say it's too advanced for hunter-gatherers, suggesting extraterrestrial guidance. But archaeologists see it as evidence of a complex early society, maybe a religious center that predates agriculture. The carvings are intricate, but they're within the skill set of people who'd been crafting tools for millennia. Then there's the Dogon people of Mali, who have a traditional story about a star system called Sirius B, a white dwarf invisible to the naked eye. Some claim this knowledge, recorded in the 20th century, proves alien contact. But anthropologists argue the Dogon likely learned about Sirius B from European astronomers in the 1800s, blending it into their cosmology. It's a fascinating case, but it shows how cultural exchange can look like something more cosmic. The ancient aliens idea also ties into modern UFO culture. Roswell, Area 51, and grainy videos of lights in the sky all feed the same curiosity. In the 1940s and 50s, UFO sightings spiked, and people started linking them to ancient stories. If aliens are visiting now, the thinking goes, maybe they were here before. But despite decades of reports, we've got no hard evidence, no crash saucers, no alien artifacts. The Pentagon's 2021 UFO report said most sightings have mundane explanations, like weather phenomena or drones. Still, the lack of proof keeps the mystery alive. Today, the ancient aliens debate is thriving, especially online. X is packed with posts about impossible artifacts, like the Saqqara bird, an Egyptian wooden model from 200 BCE that some call an ancient airplane. It's bird-shaped, but tests show it's not aerodynamic. It's likely a toy or ritual object. Every new discovery, a buried megalith, a weird statue, gets swept into the alien narrative. Meanwhile, archaeologists keep digging, finding more evidence of human ingenuity, like the 4,500-year-old ramps at Hatnub that show how Egyptians moved massive stones. The ancient aliens theory also raises big questions about science and belief. Why do some people embrace it over mainstream archaeology? Part of it's distrust. Academia can feel elitist, and history's full of gaps. Part of it's the allure of a grand story. Aliens are more exciting than levers and ramps. And part of it's our search for meaning. If aliens helped us, maybe we're not alone in the universe. Maybe there's a bigger purpose to our existence. So where does that leave us? Is the ancient aliens theory truth or fantasy? The evidence points to human ingenuity. Ancient cultures were smarter, more resourceful, and more creative than we sometimes give them credit for. The pyramids, Nazca Lines, and Antikythera mechanism are all products of human hands and minds. But the theory's not going away. It's too compelling, too thought-provoking. It pushes us to ask, where do we come from? Are we alone? Those questions are timeless, and whether the answer's aliens or not, the search for truth is what keeps us going.